This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most, so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. Speaking of coaches leaving, Dalton. Let's get to the next team now.
Yeah, no, this is the fun one.
This is the fun one. Yeah, Ole Miss up next. The Ole Miss playoff preview up next right now. Ole Miss finished with an 11-1 record on the year. Their path to the national title game, they play Tulane in the first round. They actually host Tulane in the first round in a rematch of a game that they won earlier in the season. Also have a rematch waiting for them in the quarterfinals if they beat Tulane once again, because they take on Georgia in the quarterfinal. The only team to beat Ole Miss this season that will be in the Sugar Bowl. The semifinals, if they beat Georgia, they will play either Ohio State, Texas A&M, or Miami in that Fiesta Bowl in the semifinal too. So Ole Miss, last year, Ole Miss going into the year was the number 6 team in the country. I believe we even had them as number 4 in the country going into the year. It felt like last year's team was the team to make a deep run in the playoff. But Ole Miss, of course, disappointed. They missed the playoff altogether with a 9-3 record. They disappointed last year. They surprised a lot of people, including us, this year too. We kind of thought Ole Miss would be more of a top 20 team in college football. They were a top 10 team in college football this year. They finished the year 11-1, qualified for the playoff for the first time in program history. Although, Dalton, like I mentioned before, Ole Miss's first playoff game will be a little bittersweet, because head coach Lane Kiffin left the Rebels to take on the LSU job in what ended up being a very, very messy divorce. Defensive coordinator Pete Golding was promoted to head coach, and he is the permanent head coach now of Ole Miss. So even though Lane Kiffin took another job, unlike James Madison and Tulane, where they're letting their coaches coach out the playoff, Lane Kiffin is gone. He is at LSU now. He's not coaching the Ole Miss Rebels in the playoff. So Pete Golding will make his debut as the head coach of Ole Miss in the first round of the playoff against James Madison. Against Tulane.
And interesting enough, there are multiple coaches who originally were not going to coach, are going to come back and coach this playoff run, including offensive coordinator Charlie Weiss Jr. So you've got plenty of storylines, and the name that gets mentioned the most during the broadcast when these two teams are playing are probably going to be the headline guy that is not there at Ole Miss anymore. It's going to be fascinating to see, especially in a home game, how much this Ole Miss team can rally around this situation and just go, you know what, this team is about the players. This team is about who's here and not about who isn't. And we'll see. I mean, they're getting a rematch too against Tulane, a team they've already beaten once, but you never know. It's hard to beat a team twice.
Guy Andrew Harp on the chat saying, the Ole Miss Lane Kiffin divorce made my parents' divorce look calm, and if you only knew how bad that was.
Wow. Wow.
You made it out the other side, Harp. I'm proud of you, man.
Yep, you're here now. That's all you. That's just like Ole Miss. All you can worry about is the here and now. Wow. That's honest. Gotta love a good honest chat, man.
I love it. I love it. Harb's the man. He's the man, dude.
Absolutely.
By the way, didn't mention this before. Ole Miss beat Tulane 45-10 back in Week 4. So they dominated Tulane in that game, and their loss to Georgia. If they beat Tulane, they'll play Georgia. They lost to Georgia 43-35 back in Week 8 too. Week 8. Dalton, what is the biggest strength of this Ole Miss team?
I think just in general, how many weapons they have on this offense. First of all, the engine of this offense, we'll talk about Trinidad Chambliss and the passing game as well, but the engine of this offense has been the tailback Kewan Lacey, who's just been outstanding all year. No matter how many carries he's been getting, he's been keeping this team on schedule, breaking tackles all season. And then you just look at a loaded receiving core, right? Harrison Wallace out there, Daquan Wright at tight end. You've got Dejon Stribling, a big playmaker. Winston Watkins has made explosive plays for him, especially down the second half of this season. Deuce Alexander's another good. They just have so many weapons they can go to on any given play, whether it's in the RPO game, in the run game, deep down the field. Trinidad Chambliss has been able to succeed because he has such an outstanding supporting cast with so many different weapons, and it could be somebody different exploding for him any given week.
Yeah, the offensive line is terrific. Second in the nation in pass and pressure rate allowed right now. Kewan Lacey's been phenomenal. We'll talk about him later on too, and the receiving course has been great too. Mr. Bucknuts in the chat saying Tulane versus no lane in the first round of playoff. That's tough.
Man,
that's tough.
If they don't have shirts of that made already, they probably got to get some shirts made down in New Orleans before that game starts.
I guess the biggest question mark, if you want to make it that, is, okay, how they look without Lane Kiffin calling the shots offensively. I'm not going to go off-field stuff with that, though. I want to talk about the pass rush for Ole Miss, which has kind of been an issue for them all year. And listen, they lost a lot of great defensive players last year. Walter Nolan, the D-tackle, Princely Monmielen, both of them were top 3 round picks in the draft last year, and they're missing them right now. They're only 87th in pass rushing grade as a team. They're 85th in knockdown rate as a team, which is sacks plus hits. They've only knocked down quarterbacks about 11% of the time this year. Dalton, their highest pass rush grade of any game this season was a 72.5 against Washington State, too. So this pass rush has kind of struggled all year for Ole Miss.
They need the big names to show up for them, right? Cam Franklin, especially off the edge. Prince Will Umanmielen, the little brother of Princely, who's now Carolina Panthers. Sontaran Perkins, It feels like we haven't talked about him as much this year as we thought we would, and I think that's a big thing when you're playing good quarterbacks every single week here in this playoff, whether it's Jake Retzloff here in Tulane in the first round or you get to the second round and you got to play Georgia again, a Georgia team they gave up 43 points to. That's going to be a big question. You're playing good quarterbacks every single week. You have to be able to disturb them in the pocket. If you can't do that against playoff caliber teams, then you're going to have a problem.
So listen, Dalton, we here at PFF like to pride ourselves on grading every player on every play in every game and knowing who the best players are at every level of college football. One guy that was kind of a blind spot for everyone here at PFF, and honestly everyone in college football except for, I guess, Ole Miss, Trinidad Chambliss goes from the D2 level to Ole Miss and has been phenomenal for them at quarterback this year.
You're right, out of nowhere, even for us, and we do all of the FCS games, but we only get to Division II teams if they're stepping up to play an FCS game, so not much data that we had on Chambliss. Won a national championship in Division II at Ferris State last year, and look, he wasn't the starting quarterback coming into the season. Remember, it was Austin Simmons who was supposed to be the successor to first-round pick Jackson Dart. Simmons struggled and then came out due to injury, and Chambliss took the reins of the job and just never gave it up. I mean, it just felt like, there was a few weeks where, is it a controversy they have at Ole Miss? What is Lane Kiffin going to do? And the entire time, Chambliss just battled through it, and he kept playing well, and he's been outstanding this season. How about the biggest difference between him and Simmons to me? There's two things. One, how about a 1.8% turnover-worthy play rate, the 10th lowest in the country? He takes care of the football, and he's athletic enough to make second reaction plays after that 2.5-second mark. That's where he's been so good all year. And a dynamic runner who's racked up over 500 rushing yards, excluding sacks, because we count it right around here. It's just, he's done such a good job of staying confident and managing the offense, and even times where he struggled, right? You think about how good he was against a great defense in Oklahoma. You think about how he struggled in the fourth quarter against Georgia and losing that game, and then bouncing back and not losing another one the rest of the way. He's beaten some really good defenses this year, but I think what stands out the most is just his poise and confidence through it all, right? Whether it's, is he going to be the starter this week? Is he going to continue to be? Is he just a backup? Is he just some D2 guy who's playing well, just hot? No, he's really darn good, right? And I mean, he is, if we're being honest, yes, the supporting cast is great, and that's really a big strength for them, but his emergence is the reason they are here. Mm-hmm. And he's been so safe with the football and yet willing enough to make enough dynamic plays, both with his legs and his arm, that it's been really arguably the coolest story in college football this year, that he has led this team through all of this adversity and continued adversity, even off of the field the last few weeks. But they get a shot to play in the playoff for the first time.
They sure do.
It's unreal stuff. What maybe the best story in college football this year, Trinidad Chambliss.
Yeah, they sure do. I know Lane Kiffin's gone now, but Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, I mean, you got Trinidad Chambliss, you got a really good offensive line, you got a great running back, we'll talk about in a second too, and a great receiving core. I mean, it's hard to mess that up when you have that much talent on offense right there. So I know Lane Kiffin, who's a brilliant offensive mind, is now no longer with the program, but Charlie Weiss Jr. has to feel really good about all the tools he has to work with going into this playoff run. I want to talk more about the star running back for Ole Miss this year. That is Kewan Lacey, who honestly, Dalton, has kind of taken up that role that they so badly missed last year. Last year's Ole Miss offense was really reliant on Jackson Dart and those receivers to win ball games. They didn't really have they had an okay run game, but they didn't have a workhorse. They didn't have a Quinshon Judkins, that they had in the first 2 years before that last year. They have another one right now. in Kawan Lacey, who's kind of been one of the best running backs in college football right now, transferred in from Missouri. He leads the Power 4 with 20 rushing touchdowns this year. Also leads the Power 4 with 86 forced missed tackles this year too. And he's 8th in the country with 858 yards after contact. Again, he has taken up that mantle that Quinshon Judkins left behind when he transferred to Ohio State and has been the bell cow running back for Ole Miss this year and allows guys like Trinidad Chambliss to not have to carry the offense on their back. Kawan Lacey, I can promise you right now, he's only a true sophomore. He will enter next year as easily a top 5 running back in the country for me and probably for everyone in college football. He has been massive for Ole Miss's offense this year.
Workhorse is the right word. Times when they've needed Lacey to carry them through, he has done it. Big game against Kentucky early in the season with 9 missed tackles forced when their passing game was struggling. Big game against Washington State when their passing game was struggling. 224 yards against the Florida Gators in a game that the Gators were really battling them for the first 3 quarters, and 13 missed tackles forced in that game. Kawan Lacey is a workhorse. He's physical. He's explosive enough when he gets in the open field, but he keeps this team on schedule. They rely on him a lot. They don't really have a whole lot of depth behind him, but he keeps them on schedule. He allows Chambliss to get those easier third down situations, and for Charlie Weiss Jr. now to use those play action concepts that they have in this offense. He's so important to them, and he's been really the engine of this offense all season.
So Dalton, Ole Miss lost 9 starters from last year's defense and what was an elite defense in college football last year. So only 2 starters back from last year's team. We're going to spotlight one of them here in the defensive player spotlight.
Yeah, and a guy who, like you mentioned, with the pass rush is going to be in the spotlight. Suntaran Perkins, the undersized edge defender who's really skilled. 32 defensive stops this year is really good. He's improved as a run defender off the edge. He even drops into coverage and makes some plays as well. Has an interception and 4 pass breakups this year, but they really need him as a pass rusher in this game. I think the spotlight here isn't just, this is a really good football player, because he is, but they need him to turn it up another notch. They need him to be that dangerous one-on-one edge rusher. If he can do that, then you've got a different Ole Miss defense here, right? Because he was thought to be that guy. He was kind of the third guy, right, last year when you're talking about, Jared Ivey and Princely Umanmielen last year starring for this team, and then Perkins came in as that rotational guy. He's got to be the man on this defensive line in this playoff run if they want to go deeper than just a round or 2 here.
Yeah, only 2 sacks this year. He had 11 sacks last year, but a big part of that, like Dalton said, is he's playing a lot more in coverage, actually, this year for Ole Miss's defense. He's kind of an undersized edge rusher, but he is dangerous when he's allowed to be rushing off the edge too. Dalton, what is the bottom line for this Ole Miss team? What are you expecting out of them now with Lane Kiffin no longer on the sidelines?
In all likelihood, I think they're going to come out with a lot of adrenaline. Obviously, in this first game on their home field there down at Ole Miss against Tulane. The bottom line to me is they will go as far as Trinidad Chambliss takes them. I don't think they stack up quite as well in the trenches as the 5 teams ahead of them, but when you have a quarterback and a set of weapons that we know can be explosive on any given play and across any given game, and look, they scored 35 points on Georgia earlier this season. It was a really good football game, and it just got away from them in the fourth quarter, but as when you have a quarterback that's played the way that Chambliss has all season, we have no reason to doubt him, right? He's gotten through adversity. He's come up. It's not fun Division II story. This guy's an elite quarterback in college football this season. He plays extremely well. This team can go along with it. Maybe they have to win some shootouts along the way, but you're dangerous when your quarterback plays like Chambliss has played all season.
This is a Ole Miss team that has a chip on its shoulder right now. With Lane Kiffin leading the team to go to LSU, they're going to be very eager to show Lane Kiffin what he's missing in the college football playoff. I do expect them to beat Tulane in a rematch of that game to make it to the quarterfinals, and they'll take on Georgia. And they got to beat Georgia and avenge their only loss of the year to Georgia if they want to make it past the quarterfinals. But I do think that Ole Miss will beat Tulane in the first round of the playoff and play Georgia in the quarterfinals, and we'll see what happens from there. But I do think this is a Ole Miss team, Dalton, that they're a pissed-off team right now, I think, with Lane Kiffin leaving them. So I think a team with a chip on their shoulder going into the playoff is always a dangerous team too. So look out for the Rebels this year. I don't think they'll win it all or even make it past the quarterfinals, but they're pissed off, and they're playing with a chip on their shoulder right now. I'm excited to see what they do under Pete Golding, who's, again, making his head coach debut in the college football playoff is kind of wild, honestly. So we'll see how Pete Golding does at Ole Miss.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff, because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.